You either is or you ain't. You do or you don't. You can or you can't. Or you will or you won't. Either way, baby, a good man, well, he's hard to find. Welcome to the One More for the Good Guys podcast, where good guys gather to shed light on the good life, the people, and the good things that make it that way. I'm Mike McGill with my co-host, Jamie Akins. Now, raise your glass, lend us your ear, and let's have one more for the good guys. You either is or you ain't. You do or you don't. You can or you can't. Or you will or you won't. Either way, baby, a good man, well, he's hard to find. Hey, everybody, McGill Billy here.
And I'm Jamie.
Welcome back to One More for the Good Guys podcast. Just as we do each and every time, we want to say thanks for all the support, all the follows on all of our social media platforms. We are officially on
all of them.
All of them. Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I just learned
Twitter.
We got a wicked pisser on Twitter because it's over. And of course, right here where you're watching us on YouTube. So thank you so much for all the support. If you haven't taken the time out and you watch the channel, if you haven't taken the time out to hit the subscribe button and the like, please do that, as well as on the social media platforms following us. It is truly a free way that helps the channel, and it truly helps us and helps the channel. So if you could do that, we'd appreciate it. And if you could share it with your friends or somebody important, do that too. That would help. Today we're covering our last episode that we did on this subject. We've got the 10 things every cigar smoker should know. It was a 2017 article from Cigar Aficionado where we've gotten this information from, and of course we read that and then put our 2 cents in on it as well. We've gotten a lot of really good feedback for that. But today we're going to be talking about the anatomy of a cigar. This is episode number 5 of the 10 things every cigar smoker should know. The anatomy of the cigar. Well, first, before we get into that, what are you smoking, Jamie?
I'm smoking one of our favorites, old favorites, is this Cabañas, Nicaraguan Cabañas, which is one of the older brands, if not the oldest cigar brand. And originally, I believe JR's was exclusively the retailer for them. But now that's changed, and they used to be very, very affordable, like $4, $3 a stick. They've gone up.
They were ridiculously cheap at one time. I haven't looked at them
in a month of Sundays.
Yeah.
Anyway, Habano, this is saying Rosado wrapper.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Nicaraguan binder and filler. And those terms are some of what we're going to cover in this episode, actually. But anyway, it's one of my favorites, and it's one of the ones we had left over from the back when they were what you would call a budget stick. Fantastic.
It's made
smoke.
for the Altadis company, who owns all of the
legacy brands.
Thank you. I could not think of what that was, but they own all the legacy brands.
A lot of them.
Monte Cristo, H. Upmann, Romeo, Julieta. But it's made in the Nicaraguan factory of my father's. So, and you guys know how we feel about most of their sticks.
Never had a bad one.
Great stick. If you can find them, they're definitely, I think they're box worthy for sure.
Oh yeah. Buy as many of these you can get.
Yeah.
The problem is they're harder to get now because everybody's jumped on them, and
I know 2 Guys carries them.
Yeah, 2 Guys, the first one that pulled up for me right there, but they're $10 stick there.
Yeah, and I know they carried them carry them, and they also this past year, or maybe the past year in 2023, they started the Cigar Hall of Fame, and that was the first brand that went into the Cigar Hall of Fame because they were the oldest.
Makes sense.
I am smoking. I've been a little under the weather, so I'm still going just a little bit light. This is this is definitely not like a Connecticut light. This is got lots of flavor, but it is a little bit more on the, I'd say medium, pretty much. These only come in the one size. I have found them. I just fell in love with them. I watched a review by Cigar Hound Dog. I watched a review by Master Your Ash. The first guy I ever heard talking about them was Vintage Cigar with EKB, and it is the Warped Chinchale or Chinchale, however you want to say it.
It's a brand we don't have a whole lot of experience with either, really. I don't.
Chinchale is produced, actually. It is slang for a small factory, and it's
Paquito.
It is, huh?
Paquito.
I don't know. It's bad. It's probably like a cross between, yeah. We'll try not to do accents anymore. I almost said something that would have probably got us in trouble, even though it's a word in the fucking dictionary. Excuse me. Any rate, it's actually rolled in which means Chinchale means small factory. It's actually rolled in a very small factory, Tabacalera La Isla in the Dominican Republic. This has a Habano 2000 Rosado wrapper, and the Rosado is just a term for color, and it's kind of got just a little bit of a kind of a rose tint to the wrapper itself, over Dominican binder and fillers. Man, you get. We put a quote up on our Good Guys Cigars Instagram pages and different stuff, but it's sugar and spice and all things nice, man. It's probably the first third of this cigar is probably one of the best I've ever had.
And Dominican too.
It's just
you've been on a Dominican kick here.
Yeah, really. I've just been I don't know. There's something about the subtle nuances. There's honeysuckle, there's brown sugar, there's some spice in there, some bacon spices, there's a little bit of pepper that you have just in about every stick. Certainly not like crazy amounts of pepper like on any kind of Nicaraguan stuff, but man, if you find these, just go ahead and buy a box. They're pretty affordable. Comes in a box of 25, I believe. But I really, really enjoy them, and they're in a great traditional 5x50 Robusto size. They're just a good, goes good with. I'd say this would be a great champagne cigar. Like if you were doing champagne, this would have a really good thing. I think it would go great with maybe some of your little bit better of tequilas. You're sipping tequilas, not your, oh my God, I'm never drinking tequila again.
Which for some people was all of it.
Like you used to do in high school, but like but just really refined. The nuances are very, very subtle. A lot of times it changes from puff to puff. Warped Chinchale. Highly recommend it.
They only make it that size.
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
Yeah, just a little Robusto size, and it's just perfect. I mean, I love them. So the last episode we did in this 10-part series was talking about aging. We got quite a few views on that, and we've gotten quite a few views on a lot of the cigar related stuff. So today we're talking about the number 5 thing everyone should know about cigar smokers should know.
And I want to interject there and say that this of the 5 that we've done, counting this one, this is probably the most important one so far.
Yeah.
For day in and day out.
Day in, day out.
You know, this one, this knowledge is something you use every time you pick one up. So
yeah. And you're not going to be like, you don't have to be worried about like, and knowing this stuff, you need to know this stuff, but you don't have to worry about like being ultra nerdy of knowing or speaking about this kind of stuff, because it's the anatomy and understanding a cigar's anatomy. Cigars are made up of 3 major parts: wrapper, binder, and filler. You hear us talk about it every time. The 3 forms of the smoking system and the single system forms a singular organism called the cigars. Now, we got a little model cigar here. And if you can see, this is just a plain regular, this is a Toro 6x52, 54 ring gauge, something like that. Just regular cigar. But the tobacco leaf that you're seeing right here is called the wrapper. It's the visible outer cover leaf. It's also the most expensive component per pound, as these tobacco leaves need to be
aesthetically pleasing.
Yes. As well.
Once again, pretty costs a lot of money.
Yes. Pristine in appearance as well as flavorful. If the leaf is too veiny or rough in texture or has any real blemishes, it's no longer categorized as a wrapper. Now, not to get too far in the weeds, but there has been some cigars, some newer cigars. They're kind of hard to find, but I could think of like the Umbagog Bronze Back by Barton Tobacco and Trust. I could see, you know, their call on that is there is so many. Connecticut broadleaf is a wrapper variety, right? And that is the most expensive type of wrapper. And a lot of times wrappers that are graded, I think they actually grade them on a number versus a letter system, but we'll just say for now, we'll just do the letter systems because that's easy to follow. So the A+ wrappers, you know, of course, all your people, your cigar makers are going to try to get those, the ones that are pristine, aesthetically pleasing, because as Jamie says, pretty costs more. But there are a lot of wrapper and in case with the Umbagog, with the bronze back, that is just one step below. It's kind of like in floors, you've got cabin grade, you got paint grade, you got stain grade, which would be the ultimate. It's kind of like that. So a lot of that wrapper is used at that point in time. It's it's probably going to become a binder, and then the really less aesthetically pleasing are going to become fillers, right? The Umbagog actually takes that second one from the top and actually uses that for a wrapper, because other than being aesthetically pleasing, the taste, the flavor, all of it is still there with the Connecticut broadleaf. So there are some exceptions, and that one just being one that struck me right off the top of the head.
So Connecticut broadleaf is the most expensive wrapper?
It is the most expensive wrapper by pound. Yeah.
Wonder why.
Well, only grown in the Connecticut River Valley. So limited.
Right.
And then I guess you got to take in the fact of the consideration of the import export of where it's grown here, got to be sent here, got to go over here. All that stuff would be two of the more obvious reasons that I know about.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's probably.
Do they make, this is something I don't know. Do they make, like with Connecticut shade, you have a Connecticut shade and then you'll have an Ecuadorian Connecticut shade because it's grown in Ecuador and because it's cloudy. Right. And they don't actually put cheesecloth up over in Ecuador. So do the Connecticut broadleaf, is all of that grown in Connecticut? Or is it grown? Is there an Ecuadorian Connecticut broadleaf?
No, as far as I know. Now, and if you guys know any more than I do on this answer, or have any way of sending us somewhere where we can check this out to be factual, feel free to put it in the comments. But no. It is all grown in the Connecticut River Valley, U.S. of A.
That right there is the expense right there because, shipping it. Because there ain't nothing rolled in the Connecticut River Valley. I guarantee you that. Right. I don't know. I wouldn't imagine.
You may have a guy just got done with a hard work full in the field and roll up a big spliff.
A Connecticut broadleaf binder, filler, and wrapper.
A fumar or a not a fumar. What are those called? Yeah, no. Oh hell, I can't think of it now. But a lot of times when they are testing wrappers and stuff, they'll just roll wrapper and smoke it.
Oh really?
Or they'll just roll binder and smoke it. Or the same with fillers too.
That makes sense.
Trying to create blends.
Yeah, because you just like cooking, you taste each ingredient. So, that's pretty wise. I can see that. But everything I'm seeing says it's only grown in Connecticut River Valley. So right there is your answer. I needed.
Yeah,
so that's why.
And you said that, was the answer provided?
That's exactly right.
You sorry.
That's exactly right. Ask and you shall receive.
But that's why that is categorized as the wrapper. Okay. And you can throw out whatever number you're on here, but a large percentage of your flavor and taste. I'm not gonna guess a number. I'm sure somebody out there probably knows more than I do on it and can give a factual number, but a larger percentage of your taste is going to be because of that wrapper and the ratio of filler used to that wrapper. That's why a lot of times you might like this cigar in a Petite Corona more than you do a Toro. Or you might like a Churchill more than you do a Gordo, because the ratio that affects your palate the best and your flavor wheel and senses the best is out of whack.
Yeah, that's something that seems pretty obvious, but nobody ever talks about it. The ratio wrapper to binder and filler and whatever, because from my research, that the thought was the wrapper really didn't provide that much flavor. It was kind of it wasn't always considered that important.
Yeah.
And now, as we well know, it's of the utmost importance. So anyway, back to the anatomy.
The binder, if we were to strip this off, if we were to cut this wrapper off of here, there would be a binder in this cigar, or the next piece of construction,
which is kind of like a wrapper under the wrapper.
Yeah,
It holds the filler together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the binder can be considered a wrapper itself that didn't make the cut. It's often the same tobacco as the wrapper, only not as smooth in appearance, and it doesn't have to be since you don't see it, right? Binder is the leaf of tobacco directly underneath the wrapper, and as Jamie just said, holds the filler tobacco in place.
That's why it's called a binder.
Correct. The binder is critical, as a good burning binder will often help the filler to burn more evenly, especially if the filler contains more oily tobaccos that don't burn easily.
Because the more moisture, the less burn.
Right. There are certain companies, and I can't think of one right off the top of my head, but it was a traditional practice, I believe, in the old days, that some companies still use a double binder, which, don't quote me, I believe is normally the same
leaf
type of leaf,
just doubled up.
And there again, that's going to be, that's going to fall under, that's going to fall under construction and how people were taught and or what style of construction they use. But the binder, again, holds everything together. And then the filler is everything that is in here that you see, right? So the filler, all of these fillers, this wrapper is one leaf. This binder is one leaf. These filler are several different leaves that are separated and taken with the buncheros, who are the people who basically get it ready. They get it, they put everything together so as to the binder can be put on. And that's where you see, like if you've watched any of the videos and you see them put them in the molds and they hit the machine, the cutter, they roll it up, and it's usually always guys that are doing that. That's when they go in the mold, and then they're pressed and or sent to the ladies who normally do all the wrappers. But they are picked from, they're not all from the same part of the plant, right? You have the Ligero, you have the Medio Tiempo, which is the two stray leaves that you just get every once in a while that grows on the very, very top, tip top of the plant. And then you have Seiko and you have the Medio Tiempo, then you have the Ligero, which is the at the top of the plant that gets the most sunlight, has the strength, right? And then you get the Seiko, and then there's one underneath on the low priming, and I can't remember the name of it, and I'll find it before we end, just so I'm not bullshitting you and you'll know that I'm talking about. But it takes all of those leaves from different parts of the plant to go into the fillers to where it will combust correctly. You need a little Ligero here. You need this here. Some of you might need a little extra of this, according to blends. Like, well, what about a double Ligero? Well, one of LFD makes a double Ligero.
They do.
And one of my favorite cigars that don't get a lot of love and a lot of people don't really talk about is the La Gloria Cubana in the medio tempo, which uses those 2 leaves that just grow. It's not sporadically, but randomly is the right word. Just grows randomly on different plants. They actually use it to create the strength, and they use that in certain sections to make up the filler.
It's a recipe.
It's a recipe. Basically. But fillers are all individual leaves that are laid out, in this direction, and are broken and or piece of this here, a piece of that there, and they're all assembled and put together in the hand as they're bunching those leaves, but they're all running in this direction, and that's what creates your good construction and your burn to be proper, and for that cigar that you can set it down for 5 minutes. You guys see, I've not smoked on this one in quite a few minutes, but I still got smoke output. That's because quality construction of the filler. Now, the filler is where the cigar maker can be most creative, as he can use several different types of tobacco from various countries and several different primings. That's the word for the different sections of the plant. They can use several different types of tobacco from various countries, several different primings of tobacco for the desired flavor, strength, and complexity. As with the wrapper and binder, these are long filler tobaccos that are put into place to burn slowly, but yet offer a fine, that's a big word, gustatory?
Sure.
An aromatic experience. Gustatory.
So the bottom line is that the construction from the inside out of these is just as much about the way it will burn and combust as it is about flavor.
Correct.
Because if it won't burn, there's no flavor. And, a cigar doesn't burn correctly will be the first one you put down.
Yeah.
I'm more apt to stop smoking one if it's burning wonky, as we like to say, as opposed to being just a brilliant flavor bomb.
Perfect example. Look at that. Now, you guys seen I only puffed it once in probably last 3 minutes, but look at that burn. Even, nice, the ash is nice and tight, good and white. The combustion line, which is I often compare to like a lady's mascara, that thin line. Not too black, not too dark. It's very minimal as far as the visibility of it's concerned. So that tells me a lot of things about a cigar. If I seen Jamie smoking a cigar and seen these little things that he's smoking, I'm saying, okay, well, first of all, that's a well-aged tobacco. It's not been picked too soon. It's not been over-fermented. They've not rushed getting it out because they need to make a sale. It's come out at the appropriate time. So a lot of little things you can pick up by knowing the anatomy of your cigar.
So now what we've covered, Mike has talked about the wrapper, which is the outer part, the binder, which you really never get to see unless you disassemble this thing.
Basically another wrapper.
Another wrapper that's not as pretty and has more of a functional basis than it does necessarily a flavor situation, although it does affect the flavor, but you don't normally get people start commenting about, oh man, this has got this binder and that's why it's flavored that way. I would imagine that most of the flavor notes are come from the wrapper and the filler.
For sure.
So wrapper, binder directly under that, and fillers the stuff inside. So there's the three. So when Michael say, hey, this has got a Rosado Habano wrapper like mine, or Connecticut broadleaf or whatever wrapper, And then the binder and the filler. And usually with the binders and the fillers are normally assigned to a country as opposed to a variety of tobacco leaf.
Even though it probably is known as a variety of leaf or not a variety, but that's a good word as any.
Yeah, but most of the publications
in the Tabacalera, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's, hey, get so-and-so binder.
Oh, yeah. Their terminology is different than ours for sure. Right. It's just that the wrapper gets all the attention as far as, hey, let's describe the wrapper down to the T, as opposed to, okay, the wrapper is a Rosado Habano wrapper grown blah, 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 and it's got Nicaraguan binder and filler. It's like, but it's grown in Nicaragua, but what does that mean? And really, you can get down to the technical part of it, but who cares, really? When everybody describes a cigar the same way in all the publications and even here, wrapper, binder, filler, and the wrapper gets all the glory because it's the one that gets seen and described with the most detail. Yeah. That's what I'm getting at. So now,
and then you got the, you've also got the fact that, I just went brain dead. Can't think of exactly what I was going to say, but you've got in some publications and some different things that you read about and you're trying to figure out, the origin of the cigar. There are makers who will say undisclosed.
Sure. Yeah.
They're not going to tell you.
Secret sauce.
Yeah.
Right. So now, those three terms, but now let's talk about, I'm sure this is next, but like the actual, the foot and the cap and that kind of stuff.
So the foot, the foot is this part.
The part you light.
Foot is the end of the cigar where the filler is usually visible. The head is the top of the cigar or tip and is finished with a cap. Now, if we had some really super duper high production value here in the honky tonk, you can look at a cigar and see that when they cut the cap, right, which is what we clip when we're lighting, when we're wanting to light it, when we're wanting to smoke it, rather, they take a little round die, a metal die, and they cut that cap, and it's a circle, and then that cap is placed on the head of the cigar with some vegetal type paste and or it's not glue. There's nothing synthetic, but virtually that's
it
what
glues.
It glues
it's
it
function.
Together. Yeah. And then that is placed over everything to hold said wrapper, said binder into place.
And from unraveling. Because before the cap is attached, both ends of the cigar look like the foot.
Yes, correct. That's a good catch. Good point.
And the cap is also made of the same type of leaf as the wrapper.
Yes. And the more symmetrical the head and the cap are, the greater the skill of the roller who actually rolled your cigar. Some companies use what is called a triple cap. Some only use a single cap. Some use a pigtail cap where you have a little curly Q at the top.
Or a pigtail foot.
Or a pigtail
closed foot.
Or a closed foot.
Yeah.
Which is kind of bunched up on the end. And we've actually covered some of that in the deal and showed you how to light those as well. But that is important to know, and it does create a little bit of knowledge for oneself to know a little bit about what they're talking about. now, and something that you can converse with others. Now, there's going to be that guy in the lounge that's going to, know every bump, nook, cranny,
or thinks he does,
or she does. That's going to just give you a damn ear beating, like his name was, AJ Fernandez himself. And that's fine too. If you want to geek out on that stuff, sometimes Jamie and I geek out on that type of stuff. But I'm not going to do that in a lounge or somewhere where I'm at and then get labeled that guy as the one who, well, if you know so damn much, why ain't you why ain't you down there in the business and doing all that stuff? But I like to know what I'm talking about. We can learn to talk like the guy that's hooked on speed down the street, or you can learn to talk like, the guy who's up on the 6 o'clock news, right?
Sure.
I like to know a little bit of what I'm talking about because it's informative, and it just makes the hobby and it makes it more enjoyable for me.
Right. And me too. But the knowledge base that that, okay, this is the foot and this is the cap is pretty much the two main things you need to know about as far as the external construction. One thing about the cap that I do a lot, and I'm not going to cut this, but a lot of times he's talking about a triple cap or something like that. The purpose of the cap, other than just to close off this end, is because if you can see this barber pole looking, because of the way they roll this leaf. So it does have a direction to the wrapper.
Yeah.
So what they'll do is they'll come up with this cap and they'll just keep that from unraveling on itself.
Yeah.
So why is that important? It's real important when you go to cut this thing, because if you cut too deep, you get past the cap and you actually cut the wrapper, and then the wrapper has nothing to hold it from unraveling, and you've got it in your mouth and it's all wet and whatever. So a lot of times when you go to cut, you'll cut, and I'll cut just a little bit and I'll pull because that cap will just come off. A lot of times that happens, especially if there's a triple cap or something like that. So I'll just make a cut. I try to cut mine as little as possible. And
that's the next.
Yeah, sorry, but I'm just saying that, that's the function of it. So when you go to cut,
there's still going to be part of that cap that's left on there that keeps everything held together, so you can actually smoke it without having any interference.
Right. Yeah, where you hope so. That's your goal.
Yeah.
And this one's so slick here. Whoever did this one's so good, it's even hard to see where the wrapper ends and the cap starts rather. So that new cutter that you've got is essential for things like this, because it won't allow you to cut too deep and get past the cap and create a mess for you. Nothing worse than buying a $20 stick or whatever and saying, hey, I'm going to sit down and enjoy this and spend 2 hours, and then it unravels and
you mess it up.
And you mess it up. Right. So, yeah, I said that for you to say.
I just want to laugh. No, it's a very good point, and we'll cover the next episode in this is we'll be cutting and lighting like a pro, and we'll show you the different types of cutters. We'll show you we'll show you some tricks, some tips that will eliminate you from messing up something that you bought to fill your life with enjoyment and not rage.
Well, and back to some of the other points we made in this list is that, we've said that one of the list numbers was 200 to 300 hands
right
go into making each cigar. So don't let the last hand that touches it fuck it up.
Yeah, no shit.
That's the main thing. This is an art. This is a piece of art.
An artisanal, 100% handmade artisanal product.
That's right.
And the skill that it takes to, to get it right, we'll just take the Perdomo Champagne, 10th anniversary champagne cigar, for instance. They make that in several different sizes, right? They make that cigar, they make 1 million of each size in that cigar every year.
And sell every one of them.
Yeah.
Too.
So
most of them to me.
But the point being as well is, it'd be like, don't mess it up.
Be like taking a 10-year-old bottle of wine and breaking it.
Yeah.
Or
putting
pouring it
over around.
Yeah, pouring it over ice.
Yeah. Or messing up good whiskey by pouring Coca-Cola in it.
And, since you brought up the champagne, it's got a Connecticut shade wrapper on it, and which basically you can just about see through. It's so thin. So it's very delicate in the way you treat it. If you don't cut it right, it's going to unravel. If you don't light it correctly, it's going to look like you
got it out of the ashtray.
Yeah.
Or you run it up the
right
Santa Claus's ass after he come down the chimney. And I did that, so. But any rate, and here's another benefit by knowing the anatomy of a cigar. Okay, let's say you smoke. Let's say I smoked this cigar right here, and when I got done with it, man, my big toe jumped up through the top of my boot. It just excited me. It was the best thing I'd ever smoked, but I didn't save the band, which is, the band that goes on and identifies what brand cigar, right? Let's say I didn't save the band. But I knew from reading the description or from what the guy at the tobacco shop told me, hey, that is a Connecticut broadleaf wrapper. I hate to keep using that, but that's just
it's common,
right? So when you go into the tobacco store the next time and you're trying to pick out and you want to try something new, or you want to try that stick again and you can't remember, mainly if you want to try something new, is the guy comes up, or the sales lady or salesman comes up to you and says, what are you looking for? Can I help you find something?
If you're lucky.
And yeah, in some shops, if you're lucky. But you can always say, well, I like Connecticut broadleaf wrappers. And if you're lucky and they've trained these people and they know what they're talking about, then they can walk you to any brand that sports a Connecticut broadleaf wrapper.
Which is about everybody. Carries one, makes something. And, since you're on that, Connecticut broadleaf, for people that are brand new, you're talking about, since we're on this topic of cutting and unraveling, whatever, from just a practical standpoint, Connecticut broadleaf is one of the best wrappers to start with. You're less likely to screw it up.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
They're durable. They're
yeah.
good. They're good on the golf course. They're good outside in cold weather. They've got substance to them. And but I say all that also to say what I would recommend to help you with the first part of that is, okay, I know I like Connecticut broadleaf. Okay. So what I'm going to do is when I get done smoking this, I'll play hell trying to remember Warp Cigars, Chinchale, probably, right?
Especially if you lost the band.
Well, and especially if you're new and this maybe the 5th cigar, say, you've ever smoked, right? When you get down so far and you take off your band to finish your cigar, have you a little book and or a notebook or something. There lots of companies sell in accessories. They sell little journals. Some of your Cigar of the Month clubs will provide you with a journal, and write down, tape that in your book as one of your favorites. That way you can remember it. Your little book goes in your little pocket. Your little ass walks into the little shop, gets the little book out of the little pocket, and you look at the little label and you say, I like these. Do you have any of these? And when you put that in your book, you can also write down, if you have that information, which everybody should. Everybody's got Google on their phones. You can find this information. If the fella or if the salesperson at your brick and mortar didn't know or told you, write down your wrapper, binder, and filler with this label, and then you know, okay, well, I like this. It's a Habano 2000 wrapper. Well, guess what? LFD just came out with a Ultra Habano 2000 wrapper cigar. But that's not who made this one. Yeah, but could be something that you discover, and you can start exploring different things with your palate, and finding new brands that you like. So just a little tip. And then you can always, you may be the person who says, nope, I like that one, and that's the one I want.
There ain't nothing wrong with that either.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But until you get it in your mind that you know what you know, then it's just a good way to keep things simple, keep you from wasting a lot of time, and getting the smoke that you like and the smoke that you deserve, because you're going to be spending your hard-earned money on it.
It's just like discovering anything else. When you're talking about that, when I first started smoking, I bought a lot of samplers because I didn't know what I liked.
Right.
I just bought stuff, and some of it I really liked, and some of it I didn't care for. But it reminds me of when I started listening to jazz for the first time, which has never been something that I was raised around or whatever. I just had a lot of our friends that play that, So 10 years or so, I started listening to a little bit of it. And I tried to listen to all of it, and at first I was like, some of this is really good. Some of it I just hate, and you'll do that with cigars too.
Yeah.
Unless you're like us and like everything, to some degree, but you will have your favorites.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's a good way. What Mike's saying is like, okay, you discovered that, okay, now I do like this Habano wrapper or Connecticut broadleaf.
I want to remember this.
Yeah. And
and I can't help but say, most of your brick and mortar shops, a lot of them, there's still a few of them around here. One in particular, the Smoke Pit down in Halls. They will put together 4-pack, 5-pack samplers. Good Guy Cigars also puts together samplers.
Yes, they do.
And they, the one thing that Good Guy Cigars does that they don't do, we will have a breakdown of wrapper, binder, filler, of each cigar, the name, the size, blah, blah, blah. But if you can't do that, the Cigar of the Month clubs are a really good thing to at least do for a year.
Yeah, if you've got that in your budget.
If you've got that in your budget, and you're going to get 4 or 5 brand new cigars every month, and they're going to be all different. They're going to be handpicked by the staff at the establishment that offers that club. It's a great way to try new things. And, you got hits and misses. You got strikes and spares. And if you're lucky, maybe the occasional acid flashback.
Or that.
The dude abides.
The dude abides.
But it's a good way to try new things is what I'm getting at. I'm being silly.
Right. Well, yeah. And like the Cigar of the Month clubs, like the one you're doing now with Standard and Twain,
That's when you can kind of graduate.
Once you get to the, that one's a little different because you don't know what you're smoking until you could cheat, I guess, and look. But
you totally can cheat, but
maybe, that's a great one. I really like it too. But I think that maybe knowing up front, okay, has the bands on them, and it might be a little easier for a beginner. The main thing is ask questions. Ask us. Hell, you can get us all the time. Just say, hey, we don't know, and we might not know either, but we'll find out.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That's right. So that's been understanding the anatomy of a cigar. I hope that's helped some of you out there, whether you're a new smoker or maybe you're a little more, maybe you're the occasional smoker, or maybe you just got a lot of money and you like cigars and you don't know nothing. I don't know. Yeah. Hopefully it's helped. But you got the head, the cap, the foot, the wrapper, the binder, and the filler. So,
the good news is that all the terms are pretty self-explanatory, realistically.
Yeah.
Filler, what else would you call it? you know, the stuff in the middle.
Yeah.
Filler's a great name. Binder, wrapper, they're all.
And all this information is easily accessible as well. Use your big brains. Like Jamie said, drop us something, any questions in the comments, or
email us,
email us at goodguyscigars. And,
or one more for the good guys.
Or one more for the goodguys.com.
Yep.
And we can help you with that stuff, and would be more than happy to help you.
We can help you with a lot of stuff. Basically, we know everything. So.
What a dick. This motherfucker.
Except how to predict football scores.
Yeah.
We can't do that at all.
Well, and evidently you don't know how to pick a baseball team.
Apparently not.
But at any rate, again, hopefully this has helped you. This is a hobby that is that's supposed to be about relaxation. It's supposed to be about enjoyment. But so you can have a little bit better understanding of how you want to spend your money. Learning these 10 things is a very good thing to do. And tune in next week when Jamie says,
what am I saying?
I don't know. But no kidding. Tune in next time and we'll cover cutting and lighting like a pro.
What are the next ones? You want to read them out and see what?
Sure.
Give a little bit of a preview.
The next one is number 6, cut and light like a pro. Number 7 would be smoke cool and slow. Jamie's really good at explaining that one, and has done some things on the blog at the Good Guys Cigars place, where you punch in the thing and go to the thing and find the thing.
Yeah.
You can check that out on our blog. Number 8 is choose your cigar wisely, because you don't want to end up like that guy on Indiana Jones. Number 9 is Cubans aren't always the best. And number 10 is price versus quality.
Oh, yeah. So we're getting into the practical part of the list now. That's
pretty
fun.
much. All that being said, the Warp Chinchale, we've already told you, it's box worthy. Great stick, 5x50 Robusto size. They only make it in the one size. Ecuadorian Habano 2000 wrapper. Dominican binders and fillers. The Cabañas, made in My Father's factory for Altadis company.
Rosado Habano wrapper.
Yeah, Nicaraguan
binder and filler. Smoke it down till it burns you.
Yeah, great cigars, both of them alike. And again, smoke what you like, smoke what makes you happy. Don't worry about brand prejudice and all that stuff. Anybody that's doing that or saying, I can't believe you're smoking one of them, well, guess what? Just don't ever talk to them again.
I've never had anybody say that to me. I've never had anybody.
I'm sure it'll be very few and far between, but somebody, somebody will look at,
Well, here's the other thing too. Take your band off to hell with what they say.
People are people.
Yeah.
Right? 100%.
The one thing about these two smokes, just for reference, is that these are good any time of day. This right here would be very easily, I could smoke this in the morning or before bed. That one too. Mm-hmm. That one's a little more of a flavor bomb than this one, but still, it's not overpowering at all. And I think that we're finding I think you'll find that as your palate refines, you're going to get into more. Medium's going to be your wheelhouse.
Yeah, and then you're going to figure out, like, I like this one with coffee. This one really goes well with a bourbon, champagne. Or this one goes good with a champagne, or maybe a very this also would be good with a very good would probably pair well with a great with like a top shelf sort of a gin that's got some floral qualities to it. This would go well with that if you're a gin
like
drinker.
That gin your buddy makes. It's so damn good.
Man, I wish he'd make some more
of it. Me too. I don't even like gin.
I'm not a big gin drinker,
but holy crap.
Yeah, that was good stuff. I've actually got a little bit, maybe enough just to make me miss it that much more in there. But
that's good, man.
But enjoy yourself. Smoke what you like, smoke what you want to. Again, hopefully all these little tips have and things to know have helped you out. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow, brag on us, tell all your friends, all the stuff about our social media sites as well as the YouTube page. Quickly, we won't spend much time on this because we've been doing a lot of different advertisements for this, but it's coming up December 22nd from 7 to 9 p.m., the 12th annual Mike McGill Christmas Spectacular. All proceeds will benefit and go to Second Harvest Food Bank Food for Kids program here in East Tennessee. They work with 18 different counties. Over 15,000 meals are provided every Friday at Second Harvest here, and they're actually located in Blount County, but again, serving the whole greater East Tennessee area. Come out and support a great cause. We'll have a we'll have a revolving door of talented musicians and singers to get you feeling right and in the festive spirit as we close in towards Christmas.
Best $20 you spend all year, and I guarantee you.
And that $20 will provide 60 meals for underprivileged and hungry children. Kids ask for a lot of things throughout the year. They ask for a lot of things for Christmas, but I've never heard one ask to go to bed hungry. So you can make a difference, and it only takes a little bit of your time, and you're going to get something really good back in return. So,
and something to interject here. If you're a person that follows us and you don't see this till January, let's say, or you go back and reference it and you see whatever and say, oh, this is from 2024. Listen, it's the 12th annual Mike McGill Christmas Spectacular. So next year, if you miss it this year, guess what? There might be a 13th annual next year.
Yeah. And I guarantee our hope is to put them out of business, right? But I guarantee your dollar creates 3 meals, and it'll create them in December. It'll create them in January or any other months that end in any other kind of letter. So, Second Harvest Food Bank, East Tennessee, Bijou Theater, December 22nd, 7 to 9 p.m. Jamie, you want to do another one?
Oh, yeah.
Folks, you heard it here first. That's one more for the good guys. Life's too short to smoke what?
Bad cigars.
Go Big Orange. You either is or you ain't. You do or you don't. You can or you can't. or you will or you won't. Either way.